having landed a few hours ago, and we are sponsored by A.B. Spry for the schus of sponsoring the Bavas. All his children should grow up to be wonderful Bavas, and that's a real unique sponsorship. And by Michal Avram sponsoring the shir to support the shir and our works of Habatzis Torah. We are starting the top of Daf Bava Metzia Aleph. This is a very challenging daf, Rabbi Yisai. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'akol niyeh b'dvaro.
Rabbi Amarle Ravacha Medifti at the bottom of Hayam at base. Didn't we stop over there, Baruch?
No, we said that. We're starting by Daf Vav. Remember, we spoke about Lo Yisachmai last night. Says the Gemara. So the Gemara now, at the very top of Daf Vav Amud Aleph, tells us. Rav Nachman says that if I say, Marshall, you owe me $1,000, and Marshall says he owes me nothing, so he's not a Moed B'Mikzas, we still do a Shvuah D'Rabbanan, which is called the Shvuas Heses, to persuade him to tell the truth. So that means that we're assuming maybe he's lying, and therefore we make him say a Shvuah, so that means that we could suspect him of stealing, but we don't suspect him of making a shvuah. And that's what the Gemara says. Nema, why don't we ask? If he's suspected to rook me out of my $1,000, so he should be suspected of a shvuah. V'su, and furthermore, haditani rabchia shneim nishban v'noitlim abalabayis. In the case where we said that Mark had Gedalia work for him, right? And he told Gedalia to go and get $200 of meat from Berish the butcher. And Gedalia says he never got paid from Berish. Berish says that he paid Gedalia. So the din is that both Berish and Gedalia swear. Berish swears that, he gave Gedalia the $200 of meat. And Gedalia swears that he didn't get anything, and Mark has to pay both of them. Right? Shneim nishban v'noitlim abalabayis. Well, but why don't we say if they're suspected of stealing, they shouldn't be trusted to make a shvuah? Name a migu dechashid amamayna chashid ashvuasa. And the same kash is v'su hadam Rav Sheshes, that which Rav Sheshes says that if let's say Marshall is a shomer chinam, and I ask him,
which Marshall?
Which Marshall? There's more than one Marshall here?
Yeah, my Zoom finally worked on the computer, so you got two of me. I'm going for that bourbon. I am so desperate.
That's not right. You can't show up twice.
Oh, no.
I could show up twice.
This planet is not big enough for two Marshalls. The
charge them double.
If you feel like you're people's night, otherwise people would start having nightmares. They would think about a world of cloned Marshalls.
They have daydreams about me, not nightmares.
And we welcome in Richard Rosenzweig. So you noticed that I was so distracted that I didn't welcome everyone. So we welcome in Saba, sitting right in the front over here, and Irving Fishbaum, Mel Zackler, Mark Frankel, Yitzi Muller, Menachem Umansky, Aaron Swade, A.B. Spry, Shalom Vogel, Michael. We welcome in Elliot Udell, Berish Gesseman, Mordechai Sultan, Dr. Black, Chaim Lerner, Dr. Guy, Shelley Zeitland, Shimon Klein, Barry Cement sitting next to Marshall. Oh no! Marshall Castle, Nachman Chapler, Ilya Shutman, and Dr. Ruben Guy, a son and a father team. A. Barbach, Yitzi Fuchs, Moshe Jackman, Avram Rezepkowitz, Avram, you could come back down to the shul. I'm here. Rabbi Kranz, Pesach Siegelman, Chaim Kramer, Yuktu Chaim, Moshe Lehman, and we...
Barry next to me?
The Gemara says, V'su hada amar Rav Sheshes, where I gave Marshall something to watch for me, and he was a shomer chinam, he was an unpaid watchman. So, Gedalia is here. Better late than never. Better late than never. But don't do it again. It's good to see you, Gedalia. Good to see you.
Welcome back.
Thank you. The Amar Rav Sheshes, Shalosh Shvuas Mashbiyan Oisai. We put Marshall to 3 oaths. I gave him to watch my Kais Shalayo, and he says that it got stolen. So first we make him swear Shvuah Shalei Pashatiba. He has to swear that he wasn't negligent, because the Shomer Chinam is chayiv if he's negligent. Then he has to swear that he didn't misappropriate my Kaishel. He didn't use it, because as a shomer he's not allowed to use it. So Shvuah Shalei Bayad. And he has to swear that he doesn't have it. And Shvuah She'einu B'Rishusi. So here, obviously, we're saying that we're worried that maybe Marshall did misappropriate it. So we see that although he's Chashid Amamayna, but we're saying that he should still make a Shvuah. But ask the Gemara, Neima, why don't we say Migud Chashid Amamayna, that since he's suspected to steal, Chashid Ashvuah, so he should be suspected on swearing falsely. So why do we have him make a Shvuah? So rather, with all 3 of these questions, the Gemara comes to the conclusion, like we suggested yesterday, and that is that people will steal, but they won't swear falsely. Swearing falsely is a lot more serious. It's the 3rd commandment, and not to take Hashem's name in vain. Lo yinoke, you won't be cleansed if you swear falsely. That's why we say Kol Nidre, Yom Kippur night. We understand that oaths are very serious, and that therefore, says the Gemara, Ella, Lo Yamrina, we don't say Migud Chashid Amamayna Chashid Ashvuas. We don't say that someone who's suspected to steal is suspected to swear falsely. The people, they're more careful with some things than other things. And by the way, as I pointed out, that's a very common thing. There are people that will talk Lashon Hara, but they wouldn't think of stealing. But talking Lashon Hara is certainly as serious as stealing. And there's a lot more prohibitions in talking Lashon Hara than in stealing. So, people, departmentalize.
What if we know he steals?
What?
What if we know he steals?
Even if we know he steals.
This is holding that even if we know.
Yeah, even if we know he steals. Well, then we're going to get into something else. If we know he steals, if he's going to be kosher la'edus, that's a different thing.
And so if he's not, right, according to what we learned before, he's not kosher la'edus, but he's kosher to make a shvuah.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Don't confuse kosher la'edus and making a shvuah. Now, Abaye says no. Abaye says if we think that somebody is going to steal, we don't trust his shvuah. But you see, in our case over here, where Abi and Shalom are holding a talis, and Abi says it's his, and Shalom says it's his, their they're arguing about a purchase. Here what we're saying is that Shalom, maybe he didn't pick up the cloak, but Abi owes him money from a previous loan that he didn't pay Shalom. And it says you could collect your loan even from a person's cloak. even from a person's talus. And therefore, when he says it's mine, he's not stealing, he's asking it from a previous loan. Maybe that Shalom has a claim from an old loan. So the Gemara says, well, if he's telling the truth, then we should believe his claim without a shvuah. If you're worried that he's lying, and therefore he's stealing, then you shouldn't trust the shvuah. And therefore, let him take the half without swearing. Because, if it's taka from an old loan, so that's why we grant him half. But if you think that he's lying and he's thieving, then you just said that if he's kosher for thieving, he's kosher to swear falsely. So then what are you imposing a shvuah for? So the Gemara says, you're right. Shalom's not sure, but he thinks Abi owes him money. So he's not stealing. But that means that Shalom is ready to say that it's mine because he thinks Abi owes him money. But he wouldn't be ready to swear. But he wouldn't be ready to swear because he thinks that Abi owes him money. And the Gemara is going to explain because Shalom is happy with taking the money. Because if he remembers that Abi doesn't owe him the money, he could always return the money. But he's not going to swear because there's no way you could return a swear. There's no way you could rectify it. And that's what the Gemara says. Let's see it inside. The consideration is the reason why Shalom is grabbing onto the talus is because he thinks that Abi owes him for an old debt, but he's not sure. So the Gemara says, won't we say that if Shalom is ready to grab the talus, even though he's not sure if he owes him the money, won't he swear also even though he's not sure? Says the Gemara, no. People separate themselves from a questionable shvuah, but they don't question themselves from grabbing in the case of doubt. My time. If Shalom remembers, Taka, Abi paid me for that old debt, so he'll return him what he took. Shvuah leisei b'chazara, but there's no way to rectify a shvuah. If he made a shvuah and in truth Abi didn't owe him any money, it's a false oath. And there's no way to rectify that. So he's not going to do that misafik, and therefore it's good deterrent to tell him to swear, because if he's not sure, he's not going to swear. So now, the Gemara goes into an interesting case. Boy Rab Zera. Rab Zera declares the following shaila. Again, remember, Shalom and Abi are both grabbing onto a talus. All right? Now, what happens? The Gemara is going to take us through different scenarios. And by the way, I just want to let everybody know that I did prepare this daf 30,000 feet off the ground and in some pretty heavy turbulence. So.
Oh, you were high when you prepared it?
Now, what happens? Abi and Shalom are holding the cloak, and Shalom completely grabs it out of Avi's hands. Tokfa echad bifanenu mao. Shalom grabs it out of Avi's hands. Hey Chidami, what's the case? Either Shasik, if Avi is quiet, then Oiduye Oidale. So then that means he's conceding. He's giving in. Itak is really Shalom. The Ida Katzavach, and if in front of the judges Shalom snatches it, and Avi is saying, look, you see what I'm talking about? Look, he's a hoodlum. He's a hoodlum. So the Ma'avalei Lamevid, what more could he have done? Says the Gemara, Leitzvicha, what happened is Shalom snatched it out of Abi's hands. The Shasik Me'ikar. And Abi was quiet. And then afterwards, and then he started screaming. So the question is, why was he quiet initially? Mid-ishtik, is it that his initial silence, it's a sign that Aduye Aidalek, that he really, gave in? Aidilma came in the Katzabach Hashta, since he's screaming now, Iglai Milsit reveals that the Shasik Meikar, that which he was silent, he says, look, the judges saw what he did. The judges saw that he grabbed it out of my hands. Iglai Milsit, the Shasik Meikar, Saba, Haka Chazule Rabbanan. The Rabbanan saw what was going on. So the Gemara now tries to bring a proof. Amar Rav Nachman, Toshma, Bamedvar Mamur, when do we say that they split it? Sheshneim Adukimba, when they're both holding on to the talis. Aval hoiset talis yoitzis metachas yoder shel echad mehem. But if only Abi is holding it, then Shalom would have to bring a proof. So the Gemara says, hey Chidami, what's the case? That only Abi was holding it. Well, Pshita, it's obvious. If only Abi was holding it, what's Shalom's claim? Ella, it must be shetokfa echad bifanenu. It must be that what happened is that they were both holding it, and then Abi snatched it. And it's saying that if Abi snatched it, and obviously, and we're talking about Abi snatched it, and initially Shalom was quiet, and then he started screaming, and we say, and we say that means that we say that since Shalom was initially quiet, Loi. Says, no, that's not the case. They came in front of us, and both of them were holding the talis. They came in front of us, and both Abi and Shalom were holding the talis. So the court says, Zil plugu, go and divide it. Vinafku, they went out of the court. And they come back, and only Abi is holding it. Only Abi is holding it. What's the story? Hi, Amar. Abi says, you know why I'm holding it? We went out of the court. Shalom broke down and cried and admitted it was mine. Hi, Amar. I do idly. Abi says he admitted that it's mine. V'hai Amar, and Shalom says, what are you talking about? That's not what happened. We got out, and Abi said, could I rent from you the other half? I need the whole talis. Can I rent from you the other half? And I agreed to rent it to you, and that's why he's holding it. I rented it. I rented it to him. That's what Shalom claims. I didn't admit that it was his. He's holding the whole talis. That's because he asked me. He says he needs the whole talis, and he rented it from me. So the Gemara says we don't accept that claim. If they're arguing, and that means they don't trust each other, would then Shalom agree to rent it to him? The Amrina, we tell Shalom, Ad hashta chashat begazlan. Until now, you're saying that he's a thief and that he took your item, and and you'll rent it to him without witnesses. So therefore, in this case, we don't believe Shalom. I just want to review this again to get this case straight. What happened is that Abi and Shalom came into the court. They were both holding the talis. Bezdin tells them to go and divide it. 10 minutes later, Abi comes into the courtroom holding the whole thing. And he says, we went out and Shalom confessed that it's mine. And that's why I'm holding the whole thing. Shalom says, no, I didn't confess nothing. We were going to divide it, but Abi said, could I rent the other half? And I said, yes. So the Gemara says, we don't trust Shalom. That's not a good claim. Because if somebody's trying to rip you off, you wouldn't trust it and rent it to him. So therefore we say that since Abi is holding it, it's all of Abi's. V'Iba Yisema, another pshat over here. Kirikitani. Well, now we said, if it's the simple rendering of what we said, that Abi is holding the whole thing, so Shalom has no claim because Amaytz Mechavel of Araya, that's Pashit. Says the Gemara, well, there's a little twist. The Asal Kaman, Abi came before us, Kitafas Lachadmi now. He's holding on to the bulk of the talis. The Idach Misrach Basruche. And Shalom is clawing to the edges of the talis. He's grabbing on to the edges of the talis. Now, the Gemara says that's not a claim. Even according to Sumchas, who's more easy to award a split. When there's questionable ownership. They divide it without an oath. If one person is holding it regularly and the other person is clawing at the edges is not a claim of ownership. Now, says the Gemara. Now remember, let's get back to the question that we had, and that was if Abi and Shalom are holding on to a talis together, and in front of us, Abi pulls it out of his hand. Initially, Shalom is quiet, and then he protests. So we're not sure what the din is over there. Do we say the fact that he was initially quiet meant he's admitting that it belongs to Abi? Or do we say that the fact that he's quiet is only because he did it in front of Bezdin? Since he did it in front of Bezdin, he says Bezdin saw what was happening. What's the din if instead of Abi pulling it out of Shalom's hand, Abi was makdish it to Shemayim? Now obviously, as the Meiri says, the half that is awarded to Abi, he could be makdish to Shemayim. Right? But that's what happens. If the two of them are holding the talis, half belongs to Abi, half belongs to Shalom. And if he's makdish, the half goes to Ekdish, the half that belongs to him. The question is, what if he's makdish the whole talis? And initially, Shalom is quiet, and then subsequently he protests. Do we say being makdish it is like grabbing it? Now, what you would say, why is being makdish it like grabbing it? It is analogous, because the din is amirasai lehegdish k'mesira lehedyatami. A declaration to Hegdish has the power as if you gave it to somebody. A verbal commitment to Hegdish is strong as if you handed it over. So therefore, since we see a verbal declaration is like an action, maybe the fact that Abi sanctified it and Shalom didn't say anything right away, maybe it's awarded to Abi. Or do we say no? Shalom wasn't even geiris, because the din is you can only be makdish something that's b'reshusai. And since they're both holding it, it's not Bereshusai. So he wasn't even Geirusit to protest. So let's see this inside. Im Tim Tzaloimer, if we say, Tokfa Echad Bifanenu, that if one of them, Abi, grabs it, Moitzi and Isa Miyadai, so the din is that right, no, that's possible. That's possible. 1 second. I just skipped a step. So, im tim tzalaimer, if we'll say takve echad b'fanenu, that if Abi grabs the whole talis and Shalom is initially quiet, but then he protests, we take it out of Abi's hands and we divide it. Because we say the only reason that Shalom didn't protest initially is because he said the court saw that Abi pulled it out of his hand. So then, of course, Hikdisha ain't a Mekudeshes. Of course, if he was Makdish it, which is less than pulling it, if he was Makdish it, then the whole thing is not Mekudeshes, only half, the half that belongs to Abi. But im tim tzalaimer, if we say takve echad b'fanenu ein moitzi and oisay miyadai, if we say that if Shalom, if Abi pulls it from Shalom's hand, and Shalom was initially quiet and protested later on, that we don't take it away from Abi, because we say that the fact that Shalom was quiet initially proves that he exceeded that it's Abi's. What happens if Abi didn't snatch it, but he was makdish? Hikdisha b'loy takfamau. Now remember we said that when you makdish it, that could be tantamount to physically taking it. Mau. Do we say kaven da'amar ami rasa l'gvayra kamisi rasa l'hadya, that when you make a verbal dedication to Gavaya, to Hektish, it's as if you handed it over to another person, so it's like a physical act. So therefore, Commander Takvadami, then it's like Abi snatched it. And since Shalom was initially quiet, so it's awarded to Abi. Oh, Dilma, no, that's not the same. Shalom knows the rules of Hektish. You can't be Makdish something if it's not in your Rishus. And since Shalom is holding half of it, it's not his rishus. Abi is not holding the whole thing. And since it's not in his, the whole thing is not in his rishus, Shalom knows you can't be makdish it, because ish ki yakdish es beisai kodesh. If you dedicate, a person dedicates his house, it's holy. Ma beisai b'rishusai, just like you could only be makdish your house that's under your control, so you can only dedicate that what's under your control. Since Shalom is holding half of it, that half is not under Abi's control. Half of it wasn't under his control. If it wasn't under his control, he knew that Abi couldn't declare it hektish, and that's why he didn't bother to protest. A very eminent logic. So now, Tajma, Dahi Masusa, there was a bathhouse. Minzu Allah Beitrei, that Abi and Shalom were arguing about it. Abi and Shalom were arguing whose bathhouse it is. Now, Abi said, you know what? I'm dedicating the bathhouse to Shemayim. Hayamadidihu, Abi says it's mine. Vayamadidihu, and Shalom says it's mine. Come Chad Minayu, so Abi gets up, he says, you know what? Genug the Machloikis, Akdisha. I'm Akdish the whole thing to Shemayim. So now again, obviously half of the bathhouse, Abi could make, well, I don't even want to say that over here because there's no evidence of tfisa, of holding it. So the Gemara tells us, Parshe Minei Rav Chananya v'Rav Oishia v'Kulu Rabbanan. Rav Chananya and Rav Oishia and all the rabbis would not use this bathhouse because there was a doubt that it might be dedicated to heaven, and then using it would be me'ila, would be trespassing on Ekdesh.
Half is definitely Ekdesh.
Huh?
Half is definitely
Again, you didn't hear what I just said. Here it's not simple that half, because each one was not toifus. It's different than the case before. Each one is not holding part of the bathhouse. That's why I said the Meiri's application is not so clear in this case. So v'amalei Rav Oishia l'Rabba, Rav Oishia said to Rabba, you know what? Ki ozlis l'kamei de Rav Chisda l'Kafri. I know you're heading to Kafri. There resides the great Rav Chisda. Boimine, ask him about this case. Now, on the way to Kafri, Rabba passed first through Surah. Ki also l'Surah, there he met the great Rav Hamnuna. So he met the great Rav Hamnuna. Amalei Rav Hamnuna told him this question can be resolved with a Mishnah. Masnizani. It's a Mishnah. Now what's the Mishnah? Suffolk b'chayres, a case of doubtful firstborns. Now, the Gemara is going to talk about three types of firstborn. There's a human firstborn that we have to redeem and make a pidyon aben and give 5 shkolim to the kohen. There's the firstborn of a kosher animal, which goes to the kohen and he has to offer it as a korban on the mizbeach. And then there's the bechar of one type of behemoth tameya, the bechar, the firstborn of a chamor, of a donkey, which has to be redeemed with a sheep. So the Gemara says here, a doubtful bechar. Now what's a doubtful bechar? It's where there was a miscarriage beforehand. But we're not sure if it was a full miscarriage or what's just called a ruach ba'alma, a mere wind. A mere wind would not make it that the next child is not a bechar. If it was a full baby miscarriage, then the next child is not a bechar. So Suffolk bechar, echad, whether it's bechar adam, echad bechar behema, bein tahirim, a kosher animal, bein tameim, or a chamar. So now, of course, if it is a bechar, it has to go to the kohen. If it's not a bechar, so then it's kept by the owner. So the din is hamaitzi mechavela aval varaya. Now the Gemara at this point assumes that means that whoever has his hands on it, you can't take it away from him. That means if it's by the owner of the Yisrael, the kohen can't take it because he can't prove that it's a bechar. Maybe the child beforehand was a regular fetus, and this is not a bechar. On the other hand, if the kohen has his hands on it, then the din is that you can't take it away from the kohen, because maybe it is a bechar. You can't take it away from him. So the Tani Allah and the Gemara and the Brisa says that wherever it is, Asurim begiza ubavoida. Wherever it is, remember, we're not sure if it's a bechor or not. If it is a firstborn, if the animal is a firstborn, then it has a kedusha that you're not allowed to shear its wool, and you're not allowed to work with it. So we say that even though if it's by a Yisrael, it can't be taken away from the Yisrael. Even though if it's by a Yisrael, it can't be taken away from the Yisrael. Still, the wool and the working, you can't work. So the Gemara thinks that why should it be? Why should it be? Why do we say that it retains its kedusha? It must be because there's a tzad that if the kohen grabs it, the kohen could keep it. And since there's a tzad that if the kohen grabs it, he could keep it, therefore, because the kohen has a certain shaykhis with it, because if the kohen grabs it, you can't take it away from him. So therefore, even if it's by Yisrael, it has an element of kedusha, and that's why it's also to share its wool. It's also to work with it. So the Gemara says, that if the kohen grabs it, we don't take it out of him. Yet the chiloi takfu, if he doesn't seize it, asurin begizav avoid, it still has an element of ektish. And therefore the Gemara wants to say over here also that in the case of the bathhouse, if one of them would grab it, you wouldn't be able to take it out of his hand. And therefore, since if one of them would grab it, you wouldn't be able to take it out of his hand. If he's makdish it, if he declares it hektish, it is hektish. That's what the Gemara wants to say now. So the Gemara says, no. It has nothing to do with if the kohen would seize it, it would be his. The truth of the matter is that the kohen, if he grabs it, we take it away from the kohen. Because since it was by the Yisrael, and the kohen has no proof that it's a bechor, the kohen can't grab it out of his hand. You want to know why we say that it's asa b'giza b'avaida? It has nothing to do with the fact that if the kohen would grab it, it would be his. The fact is, we're not sure if it's a bechor. It's a suffik daraisa l'chumra. Since we're not sure, bechor is kodesh merechem. It's holy from the womb. That's the din of a bechor. That's holy from the womb. Right? So since it's holy from the womb, we're not sure it's a bechor or not. So that's why misafik, it's also begiz v'avaida. Says the Gemara, if the kohen seizes it, we take it out of the kohen's hand. There it's different. Since there's a question if it's a bechor or not, so it's a suffik doraisa, because the bechor is also to use. The kedusha abba me'ela, it's a kedusha that comes from the rechem. The kedusha abba me'ela is shani. In our case, one of them has no right to be makdish. He has no right by the bathhouse to be makdish. Says the Gemara, and there's a proof that if the kohen snatches it, we take it away from him. Well, by the way, that makes a lot of sense. Take a case. I have an animal. I'm not sure if it's a bechor or not. It might not be a bechor, and then the kohen has no right to take it. So if he snatches it, we take it away from him. Amalei Rav Kananya l'Rabba, Tanya the Messiah. We have a brisa that proves this. Hasveikos, if you have such a suffik animal, let's say I had an animal that was born in my flock, and I'm not sure if it's a bechor or not. Now, when I have 10 animals in the corral, I have to lead them through the door of the corral, and the 10th animal is Ma'aseh Behema. Obviously, a Bechor is not put in for Ma'aseh Behema because a Bechor is not eligible for Ma'aseh Behema. That's Kaddish as a Bechor. But what about this doubtful animal? So the din is, Hasveikos nichnosim l'dir li'asaser. That this doubtful animal, which we're not sure if it's a Bechor or not, I put through the corral with the other animals, and it's counted in the lineup of Ma'aseh Behema. But says the Gemara, but how can we do that? If the din is the kohen would snatch it from me, he could keep it. So that means that the kohen has a claim, a possible claim of ownership on it. Then how could I count it as Ma'aseh Behema if the kohen could take it away from me? That if the kohen snatches it, we don't take it away from him. So that means that the kohen has a possible claim of ownership. How could I use it to exempt my responsibility of Ma'aseh Behema? Amay nichnasin l'dir. Why should it be included? That means that I'm exempting my money with something that's possibly owned by the kohen. So Abaye says that's not such a problem. It's talking about where I have an exact number, only 10. If I have only 10, so that's why I could count it. Because Mamanavshach. If it's the money of the kohen, then I have only 9 and I don't have a chiyuv. If it's not the money of a kohen, then I have 10 and it's Ma'aseh Behema. Obviously, I wouldn't be able to bring it as a carbon because it might be chulun la'azara. Amalei Abaye imi shemha loy tisayel amar. It wouldn't be a proof because hakaba my askina k'gayin leslei alatish avahu. I have only 9 animals and this suffix. So mamanav shach. If it's not the kohen's and it's mine and it's not a bakar, so then it's the 10th one. Shapar kamasa. And if it's really a bakar and it doesn't count in the lineup, that's no problem either because then I don't have a chiyuv of Ma'aseh Behema. Then tisha labar isurin, I don't have a chiyuv of Ma'aseh Behema. However, Abaye says this doesn't work. Some gesund. It's not true because we don't put a suffix in a lineup. The din is we don't put a suffix in a lineup. The Tanan, let's say I counted in my corral 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. They all go out the door. The 10th one is Ma'aseh Behema. Those 9 are already exempt. And one of the 9 jumps back into the corral. Ooh. One of the 9 that were already exempted now jumps back into the corral. Uh-oh. That's a problem. The nan kofetz echad min amenuyin. If one that was already counted jumped l'soichan back inside, kulan peturim. They're all pater. But says why should they be all pater? The isol kedaitach sveika bo yisurei. If you'll say that a doubtful animal needs meiser, if a doubtful animal needs meiser, so line them all up. Line them all up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Line them all up. If the 10th one was not the suffix, right? Then shaper mice. Then it's good mice. And if the 10th one is not a chiyuv, then nifter b'minyan haroy. The din is that if an animal went through a good count, it's exempt even though the 10th one wasn't really Ma'aseh Behema. If you're going to say that a suffix has to be counted, right? Because all 10 of them are now a suffix, because one of them was already counted. So all 10 are a suffix. If you're going to say that a suffix has to be counted, so then Mamanav shall count them. If the 10th one is a good one, so then it's good. If the 10th one is not a good one, but you made a proper count, and a proper count is enough. Damar Rava, Minyan Arai Paiter. A proper count exempts. What are you going to say? No, you don't count the whole batch, because since there's one over there that was already counted, the whole batch is a suffix, and the din is we only count a vadai and not a suffix. You have to, it's only if it's a definite. That's only, we could only count if the 10th animal is going to be a definite, not if the 10th animal is going to be a suffix. And here the 10th animal is a suffix. 10th animal might be the one that jumped in. Right? So we don't count. So you see that we don't count in a case of a suffix. So therefore Abaya says here also, it's not true what I said that if this suffix bechar, if there's 10, we would count, because mamanav shach, if it's a vadai, if it's not a bechar, then there's 10, and if it is a bechar, so you only have 9. We don't do that, because we don't do a case where the 10th one might be a suffix. We don't make such a count. So therefore, it's not true, the answer that I said, that it would work out if there's only 9 plus the suffix.